What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back for another review of Ready to Love. Of course, this is season 8, episode 8. The episode is titled Ride or Die, and let's get right into the review. So we already know that the ladies have the control this week, they have the power, and now they're going to introduce these guys to their best friends. I'm sorry, but I don't see any potential couples here. So I don't even know why we're introducing people to best friends, but we just gonna rock out with this show. Alright, so first up we have Katarina. Her friend Allie is there, and she has this girl meeting with two guys. I said, girl, two? Since when did you have options? I'm sorry. Kat can go home, y'all. She really can. Actually, most of the people on this cast can go. But nonetheless, her friend is meeting with Philip as well as Herbert today. Alright, so first of all, Phil got there first. And Kat and her friend did this weird Disney Nickelodeon type thing where they called themselves Alley Cat, Goodnight Girl. It was very childish. It was definitely something you would see on like Wizards of Waverly Place or something. Nonetheless, they talk about how basically he hasn't been communicating with her. I'm sorry, but that has been an ongoing thing on this show where the ladies are like, you haven't been calling me. You haven't returned my calls or my texts because they're not interested. Okay? These men are not interested in y'all. So that means that they're going to fall back from talking to you. And it is what it is. Nonetheless, Herbert, he shows up. And by the time he got there, I was really over this date because I'm just like, why is she even talking to both of these men? I just feel like her person ain't here. I think that she needs to date someone younger. And I also was kind of thrown off by the fact that Kat, well, at least her friend, she brought up this idea of Kat, when she gets pregnant, she basically plans on not working. Will these men be able to take care of her if she doesn't work? Girl, not these men. These are not those type of men. So let's just go ahead and move along. They are not about to take care of you. So I think Phil had ended up leaving. And then Herbert ends up asking like, oh, well, why is Kat single? Negro, why are you single? Answer that. And then for him to still talk about how he has 3 connections, you need to start dropping them down. Because we are already this close to the end of the show. How do you still have 3 connections? It doesn't make any sense. You know what? We're just gonna move along. Aries, she invites Chris and Phil out. So, of course, when they ask, oh, what do you like about Aries? Chris, he's like, she's so quiet and peaceful. I just love that about her. If I hear that man say peaceful one more time, I'm going to scream. Like, I thought that I liked Chris. However, the more episodes that I watch, I don't care for him. Nonetheless, when it got to Phil talking about I love the fact that she liked Bay Area music. I said, Bay Area music? So you like the fact that she listened to what? E40 and Too Short? And maybe some Mac Dre? Okay. Like, I just feel like Chris was more so all about, Aries and all her amazing attributes, while Phil, he was just trying to make them comfortable, laugh a little bit. He's more down to earth and not trying to present himself as a certain thing. You know what I'm saying? Because even when he talked about how he had to reinvent himself, now listen, those was Phil words. I said, Phil, this just sound like you was job hopping because you didn't know what you wanted to do with yourself. And that's okay. But I wouldn't exactly say you reinvented yourself. Like, I feel like, at least to me, at least Phil was open and honest about that. You know what I'm saying? Because most people would have been like, oh, I transitioned into working in this field or that field. No, it sounded like he went through, some times with unemployment. But nonetheless, Chris, I feel like he's confident that he was better than Phil because he could possibly financially provide for Aries. And, of course, people love to hear that. So the friends, they like Chris over Phil. Let's move on over to Janelle. She has her friend meet Quentin and Herbert. Herbert, he ended up bringing her a little gift or whatever. And when the friend asks, of course, what do you like about her? His response was, 'cause she a whole thug out here. I'm like, what? Like, Herbert is giving some real interesting answers, okay? Now, Quentin, he sounds like he has prepared himself for all the possible questions, okay? And of course, the topic of Herbert moving extremely slow, that was, a part of the conversation, because we all know that Janelle wants to be engaged by the end of the year, and Herbert, he ain't with that. He is not trying to do that, okay? Because in his eyes, the show is called Ready to Love, aka I'm ready to date you, not I'm ready to marry you. But let's go ahead and move on, because we already know that Janelle, at this point, she's more so matching up with Quentin. So we have Lee here. I said, Lee, you ain't got no connections. Who did you invite over? This ain't making no sense. You should have bowed out gracefully. You and Kat for sure could have went on home like some weeks ago. But nonetheless, Quentin is over here. I'm like, why did you invite Quentin? He literally told you that he ghosted you, aka he don't like you. Girl, I guess. So, why this man, he basically says that it's a problem that Lee has not had a party phase. And I'm just kind of like, dude, grow up. Because maybe she's just not a party girl. Did you ever think of that? Like, I feel like Lee is very much giving homebody. She's very chill. She's very relaxed. Like, she's not the type of girl that's going to go out and party. She may be the type of girl who likes to read books. I don't know, but, like, it's very strange that was, like, a kind of red flag for him. I'm like, you do realize people are all different, right? Okay. Nonetheless, this whole date is weird. It's very, very weird. The friend didn't have good questions. Quentin, he's speaking in his best Dwayne Wayne speech, and Lee is just sitting there on mute. I'm like, what is this? Get all these people off of my TV screen. And honestly, the more that I see of Lee, I feel like she don't have a personality. Like, it seems like she's just a pretty girl, but for some reason, she's coming off as having no personality. But let's go ahead and move on. Sierra, she invites Marie and Herbert out. I kind of forgot she even had a thing for Herbert, but I guess. Marie or whatever, I feel like he is giving his best answers because he is clinging on for dear life, because he knows that basically don't nobody else want him but Sierra. Now Herbert, he's still over here talking about taking things slow. And I'm like, okay, what else is going on, Herbert? What else do you have to go, to say for yourself? One thing I have to point out is that Sierra brought back the short hair, which I'm like, okay, great. I like that Sierra brought her short hair back. I want her to get rid of the wigs because they do not work for her. As far as the two guys go, though, I don't know. Like, I feel like Herbert was very flirty with Sierra, but Marie still gave better answers than he did. Now, we got to go on to Jessica. Again, another woman with no options here, but we going to suffer through it. She met up with Chris and Marie. I'm like, how many times do you and Chris have to meet up to prove that y'all are not a match? And you and Marie clearly are not a match because he out here keeping secrets from you before the relationship even starts. Especially if information is kind of important. What we doing here? Nonetheless, let's just talk about it. Chris shows up first. I feel like he be dressing like 2008 sometimes, and it bothers me. But nonetheless, they end up asking Chris, what type of wife qualities are you looking for, or whatever, or what kind of qualities do you see in Jessica? That man had no answers. That man is checked out of Jessica, okay? He really is. He's checked out, and also on top of that, because he's so hell-bent on the fact that she needs to be softer for him, he don't even see no other qualities. Everything that she has going for herself, he sees as a negative. Her being independent, her being vocal, her being, upfront about things, he sees all that as negatives because he wants a woman who is soft and demure and basically is silent. That's what he wants. Now let's go ahead and slide on over to Mariette, because this man, he think he Meek Mill, because he's like, I want to tell her my dreams and nightmares. Okay, sir, I like that album too. Next thing, Mariette, he goes on about therapy. And how, he's done therapy because when his dad transitioned, this, that, another. I'm just like, okay, great. So now we're going to throw the therapy jargon out to make it seem like everybody's a good guy. Okay, cool. So, I'll be honest. After this date, you can basically tell Chris, he ain't here for her. I don't think that he should have been there at all. And at the end of the day, I think that she realized that she could go ahead and let this connection with Chris go, but she can really let this connection with Mariette go as well. But let's go ahead and move on. The ladies meet up with Tommy, right? Again, Lee, this was your chance to bow out or whatever. But no, she talks about how, her friend was mesmerized by Quentin's muscles and all of this stuff. And I'm like, but girl, you still got no answers that made you rethink who he was and if he really wanted to be with you. Like, just go home. So all the ladies who are interested in Herbert, they feel like he's just a smooth talker. And now nobody wants to be with him. I said, well, ain't that interesting? Because you already know for weeks, his name has been at the top. Oh, I like Herbert. Herbert, baby. All it took was one episode. So, Jessica, she chooses Mariette as the better option. Sierra, she likes Mariette as well. But because Jessica mentioned how Mariette had brought her like a little gift or whatever, now Sierra's like, well, where's my gift? Why didn't I get a gift? Girl, relax. Because I'm pretty sure it was not much. So Aerie, she talks about Chris, and you already know she's going to talk about Chris very highly, unlike Jessica. Because Jessica, she ain't rocking with him no more. Now, Kat, her friends, they weren't interested in either man, okay? Her friend was like, girl, you need to keep looking around. And I'm like, yes, she should. Go look around somewhere else. Not this group of men. So, who we don't like? Janelle says Herbert. And I'm like, yes, finally. This is the first time I feel like I have seen women say people who are actually interested in them. And what I mean by that is, we have watched time and time again of people string people along for episodes upon episodes. And when Tommy asks, who are you not feeling? Even though you already know that it's time for you to stop playing around with this person, people will throw out a name that people they ain't even interested in, ain't never talked to. No, throw out the person who is your number 2, 3s, and 4s. Let's go ahead and throw those people out. So the fact that Janelle named Herbert, I was like, you know what? She all right in my book in this moment. And even Jessica, she was like, yep, Chris can go. Like, they were ready to let go of these number 2s who are wasting their time. And I can't even knock it. So now we learn that, also, before we let someone go, the next episode will be the overnight trip. And I'm just like, oh God, please let it be worth our time of watching. So, Chris and Herbert, they are on the chopping block, y'all. Who went home? Herbert. Do I think it was time? Absolutely. But I also feel like it's time for everybody to go home. I'm sorry, but Dallas was not that girl, okay? This season has not been good, and I don't see any connections. But y'all, let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.